Peter Stephan, you won't recognize him without the angel wings on his back. But you have been that for me, and you've been that for a lot of people, because you let me know where I stood, both with California and with the IRS, and then your team of Matt and all of the others who worked tirelessly at the Tax Resolution Institute really made me comfortable. You had all my information, and you said, okay, Brian, here's how we're going to handle this. And again, when you know where you stand, when you know what your burden is, then you can deal with it. But to go through this tax season not knowing, to allow 1 year of unfiled returns, to pile up on a second year of unfiled returns, and a third and a fourth, it creates significant stress and pressure, but it certainly did for me, and I know I speak for a lot of people.
You know, Brian, what tends to happen when people procrastinate and haven't filed for 1, 2, or 3 years, and in fact know that they owe taxes, maybe they're a real estate person, or back several years ago, a high-earning mortgage broker that was getting 1099 instead of W-2'd, so no withholding taxes, maybe not making their estimated tax payments, is that they get so far gone that they give up. And there's no reason for that. It just causes more stress. The one thing that we all know is that the government may disappear for a little while, but they're not going away. They're not going to lose your file.
They've never lost one, right?
Back in the very early 80s, I saw it happen once.
One time.
One time.
And you called Ripley's Believe It or Not, and they chronicled that.
And in fact, it hasn't happened in the last 30 years. All the computers are fully integrated, and they will find you wherever you move or wherever you go. So sometimes we do 10 years of delinquent returns. The federal statute of limitations for filing, for collection when returns are not filed is forever. For collection when returns are filed is 10 years. Now, the reason I say that is you personally had a franchise tax board problem, and the IRS had not contacted you yet.
Right.
But the statute of limitations for state collection is 20 years. So
I'm only 40.
I can't tell you how many returns we did for the state of California last year in 2012 back to the mid and early 90s.
That's the voice of Peter Stephan. He has literally written the textbook on resolving tax problems. This is The Tax Show. I'm Brian Whitman from The Morning Answer, right here on The Answer. Peter is here along with Jim Felton from Greenberg and Bass. We're going to be here every Sunday afternoon answering your questions this tax season because, look, this is the time that people start to think about their taxes. We're going to talk about payroll tax. We're going to talk a little bit about it today, talk about it in the weeks to come. I'd like to ask both of you. There's a lot of people listening, and everybody has a different degree of, everybody's issue is different. Some people, God bless them, may have no issue with the IRS or the California Franchise Tax Board. I envy you, and if that's you, mazel tov, as we say, right? But if that's not you, and you've got something looming over your head, why don't each of you, maybe I'll go with Jim first, and then we'll go to Peter. Why don't you articulate or define two people out there who might be listening, who might have an issue, who would be well advised to call the Tax Resolution Institute if you are unfiled, or if, just what do you see commonly in terms of people who are coming in who are in need of your services, whether they know it or not?
I'll give you two examples. The first is a husband and wife. They live in the Valley. Husband is a mortgage wealth manager. He had 9 or so elderly clients, and for reasons unknown, 7 of them died in 1 year. And the kids all took the money that was with him elsewhere. So his income went from 5 figures a month to $5,000 a month. Couldn't afford his house, got into a foreclosure situation, and basically needed to do something to stop the foreclosure. They had equity in the house, so they didn't want to lose the house, but we had to figure out something. So for them, we filed a Chapter 13, which is a bankruptcy that individuals can do, which allowed them to keep the house, allowed them to make payments of the past due debts over a 5-year period of time, and basically gave them the breathing room so he could now go find some more clients and replace those that he lost. That's a classic situation of solving a problem. We allow them to keep their house. They're going to pay back the debt, but they're going to be able to do it over a much longer period of time.
And if you are that person or that situation sounds eerily like yours, the number is 800-658-6264. 7590. Here on the Tax Show, we're identifying another person or group of persons who might be in need of tax resolution or might want to reach out this weekend right away for some tax resolution.
The other that's in my office right now also is a wealth manager. I'm sorry, it's two wealth managers, but same problem. Although with him, he had received various advances when he switched brokerage firms, and those advances haven't been paid back. So he owes two brokerage firms in excess of $800,000. He's no chance he's going to be able to pay it back. Doesn't own any property. And for him, we're going to be filing a Chapter 7 because we can get rid of all those obligations. And he's got tax issues too. And I'll be talking to Peter about that after the show, because he's got some issues where we're going to have to look carefully at whether he needs to some tax resolution work, or we may need to wait a little bit on the filing.
You're listening to The Tax Show. I'm Brian Whitman from The Morning Answer. Peter Stephan from the Tax Resolution Institute is here. Jim Felton of Greenberg and Bass. We're talking about bankruptcy issues. We're talking, of course, about tax issues and tax resolution issues. We're here every Sunday afternoon at this time throughout tax season to advise you. And if all of this conversation is making you twitch a little bit and you're saying, oh, I think I'm that guy, I think I'm that lady that Jim Felton was just talking about, the number to call is 800-658-7590. 800-658-7590. That is the Tax Resolution Institute.